You find your coffee cup, Mike?
No.
Okay, it's over here.
Welcome back to the Clock Shop. This is Jim with JR Clocker on eBay. Let's see what happened at the Clock Shop this week. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Clock Shop. Today I'm going to do a little video. Somebody requested how do you find the live center on worn bushing? Well, this is about the worst I've seen in a long time. Look at that. This is where it's supposed to be. This is where it's worn to. So you have to do, I'm going to sit here and try to, you got to do an imaginary we're going to make the wear look like it's all the way around. Okay. This is the way you have to look at it in your head, that it's worn. And just try to make a perfect circle around. Now this is where it's supposed to be. This is where it is. So we have to make it a little higher here. So we're gonna, now this isn't something I do every time I do a bushing, but when I was an apprentice, this is kind of the idea that you were taught. Using your imagination to find out where the center is. Now this I drew a little bit far, but you get an idea. It's a circle. It's now moved to the bottom of the circle. What you need to do is find the dead center of that circle again. And basically, in theory, what we're going to do is on a smaller scale, not the exact size as this big round circle is, but we're going to cut a hole that's centered where the bushing should be, and we're going to enlarge it to encompass where the bushing has grind it to. So, because it's really what it is. There was a big hunk of dirt. Actually, I couldn't do this when I first started working this movement. There was so much dirt. Let me get rid of this Sharpie before I mark myself all over the place, which I normally do on a daily basis. Let me get my pointer. Okay, so there was a big hunk of dirt right in that hole that I can stick this into, okay? I stick that point in that hole. That hole is so, now that's where the center should be, okay? But it's all the way, you know, the center right now is all the way down here. So you can look at it this way. It's it's bored a hole in the brass all the way down here like that. Okay, so now, again, we have to bring this up. And this is the escapement. This is the escapement wheel. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen an escapement this bad. Spin it around here for you. Because it's not bad on this side, okay, but it is really bad on this side. Now I have pre-cleaned this so we could do this before, you know, I'll take this apart, and next part of the video I'll just have this plate, and all these guys will be gone, and I'm going to show you how to line it up on the bushing machine. Now, if you don't have a bushing machine and you have a hand broach and you're going to hand broach it, or you're going to use one of these, which for this purpose, I don't know whether I like using these KWM broach cutters. I would much rather use just a regular broach, a steel broach, so needle broach, whichever way you want to call it. So we're going to come in there and we're going to If you're going to use a steel brooch, wire brooch, whichever, you would then tape up your fingers. You would move this pin up to where it's supposed to be. Now with the pin not in it, with the pivot not in it, then you would take your brooch and you would start enlarging the hole. Okay, slowly starting to enlarge the hole, not really letting it cut, because this is empty. So what you don't want to happen is you don't want to go in here and then start cutting to its weakest point. You need to keep it up. Once you determine, this one's actually an easy one. That's why I want to show it to you, because this one, you're just going to go in. You're going to slowly enlarge it. It'll slowly move your finger down and down until you have encompassed this hole. You have a brooch in there that's big enough that it's broached not only this far this way, but this far this way, and that far this way, and that far this way, which is going to be tight. Now, I'm doing this, I'm overdoing it, but it's going to be close. It's going to be close in there. Okay, this is not going to be an easy bushing to do, but you know what? I'm thinking maybe I should do this by hand. That way you get a good, clear understanding. I think that's what I'm going to do. So we'll be back. Just want to make sure that you really get the chance to see how far. This is where it's supposed to be. This is where it is. That's a lot. This one more thing I want to show you too, because I'm going to use my fingernail before I do this. I'm going to come up here. Now it's been wound. When I put the pivot where it's supposed to be, it has power. When I take it down, it doesn't. See, it's not advancing. It actually wants to go backwards. While I'll put it up again. Anyway, it's a big difference. It's a big, big, big difference. I cannot believe clocks can go this long. Wow, they can go that long. All right, before you take a clock movement apart, there's a couple things you need to take note of. I'm gonna try to get a pointer in here. When the movement is stopped, I'm talking about the strike side now. Sorry, excuse me. Let me rephrase this. I'm gonna get ready to take this clock apart, and some things for you to recognize, maybe even take pictures of before you take it apart is make sure that this lever is in the deep pocket, okay? That you notice that down here on this pin right here, let me get it around, on this pin right there, that it's hooked, not put, it's hooked. So there's a little hook on the here that needs to hook onto this pin, okay? So just recognize that. So when you take it apart, you notice when you're putting it back together, have that pin. See if I can get a closer look here. See the pin down here. Is hooked. It's stopped when that thing, when the lever is in a deep hole, right, in a deep slot, okay, the pin is hooked. So it's caught. It's like that. The pin comes in like this. Doesn't go like this. It's not stopped this way. It's stopped this way. So you'll know. And you have, you know, one or two teeth play in that where it will catch and it'll be fine. But you want to set it up that way, okay? And so I'm going to show you this, the one I'm going to do for you here. I'll show you that one there. And but I did want to show you, before I take it apart, I take note of it, whether it's a hook or it's it catches. There's I guess the only thing I can think of is hook. It's hook or non-hook. That's it. And on that pin, this one's a hook, which actually is a little easier. All right, this is a Sessions, by the way. I did want to point this out. It's actually a Sessions banjo clock. All right. I flip over to the strike side on the front plate, and I found this one. So I haven't decided. I think this one might be an easier one to show you all because it's on a clear plate. So I think I may be doing it. This is the exact same thing, same problem. Almost, not quite as much wear, but I think I'm going to do this one. See you in a minute. I'm going to begin this video by saying somewhere in this video I talk about doing both a bushing tool version of a bushing and doing a hand bushing job. I've decided, because of camera angles and how difficult it is to get the best shots for you guys, which I'm really trying to do now, I'm going to do two separate videos. This one I think you will see is a very clear, concise way on how I center a bushing, center my tool to cut the bushings, and I hope you like the video. Let's get to it. Here we have the one bushing. This is third wheel on the strike side. Okay, so we go from the big wheel, second wheel, third wheel. All right, that's where it's grinding to. I am looking at a bushing that I've measured up. And now I'm going to put it in the hole, just kind of trying to give you kind of an idea. Will it encapsulate the whole area where it needs to do? And this one will. All right, so I can go in here, I'll measure that, and I'll get my right cutters together and we'll do one on the bushing machine. And I'll show you how I live center it, and then we'll go on from there. I'm kind of gonna do this in reverse. I've set my plate up, not really usually the way I do it, but in order for the camera to see, I needed to do that. Then I put the pointer in place. This is my center guide. It's a very sharp point. It goes in, and you can see, actually, I can stick my pointer in there. Can you see that right there? I could actually break it off. Okay, right in there. So that's where it's worn to. That's why this line is here. Okay, that's where it's worn too. It's wearing this way, so I leave the little point out right here, and leave the little point out here. Leave a little gap there, and I go in and I make sure everything is tight. And then this tool has a really neat little function here, and it moves the little pointer out of there. I have a light down here to give me more light, so see how pointy that is? I'll bring it down and show you one more time. All right, see how it leaves it? That's the center. Okay. All right. Now we'll go and do the bushing. I adjusted the plate and everything a little bit so you can actually see that little gap a little bit better. I also flipped the plate upside down because I'd rather cut from the inside out. So let me get my first cutter in. Okay, I'm going to bring this down here, and I hope you can see it. This is the first cutting tool, which is probably about the size of the pivot. And what I want to see here is that the cutting edge is up against that wall. And just in case, that's why I put my thumb against it when I'm turning, to keep it from sliding. Okay, let me get my pointer here. To keep the cutter from sliding into this hole and starting to cut at the wrong spot. Okay, I can't do this one-handed, so I'm going to pull the camera back here. Hopefully set it up without too much shake and craziness. And I'm going to show you why my thumb is there. I may cut some of this out. Okay. So I put my thumb here. This one I kind of slide in kind of a little bit on the careful side because I really, see, it really wants to cut into that side. So you got to feel it. I'm actually cutting counterclockwise, which I hardly ever do. But the do it clockwise would have caught, this one edge was really tough. Okay, so I don't want to break the cutter, and I want to have a nice smooth. See, we're almost there now, okay? So by the end of the next cutter, it'll be ready. The bushing I'm putting in is 3mm bushing. And I started with, my first cutter was 1.97mm. The second cutter is, pulling it out now, it's a 2.47. And believe it or not, it's, even though it's still pretty close to round now, I am still going to put my thumb on it. And I think I will continue to go counterclockwise, which I usually don't do. I really wanted to, I'm taking it out clockwise. Anyway, so now we're pretty much rounded up. I'll try to get a visual for you here. Okay, so we're pretty much rounded out now, and I think that will help you see it. It might not. Anyway, the next cutter I use, I take little bits at a time. It's a 2.97. Now this I'd be using for a 3mm, but my bushing is going to be a 3.5mm. So we have one more cutter after this. This one I'm not going to be doing, and I'm going to go back to doing it in my 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 clockwise. All right, so now trying to brace this so it won't fall down again. All right, I'm really trying to get a good camera angles for you. I've decided to find a good way to set up a camera so I can do the hand bushing for you. So I'm just going to do the close-up version of a machine bushing job, which is this is a Bergeon, and it's the only one I've ever used, but I mean, I've worked with KWM before, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you get a really good look at the cut here. Okay, and now it's set up center. You can always fall back and use a depthing tool. I wish they had depthing charts out there. It would be a lot easier just to go off them. And I'd like to invent a depthing tool that was digital. That would be really nice. Anybody out there with ideas, hey, let me know. Could be the next best thing. Okay. So here's our bushing. I've put in the hammer. Now this bushing is measured for depth, the plate depth too, so it's the proper bushing in there. I'm just trying to do this with the with the pointer. I can usually just use my hand and do it fine, but I'm working so close up, I don't want to put my finger in the way. And I'm gonna soft set it. Ooh, and what did I do? All right, I'm gonna soft set it. And then bring it home. And that's what hammering home is. You'll hear me say that. Now, I then take this chamfering bit okay, and that just cuts a little chamfer in the back. There's an oil mill on the front, whatever you call it, but this is just a little oil hangs out here too. Put very little oil on my clock, so I go in here. You can hear it. That's a nice little chamfer. Anyway, folks, thanks for stopping by and your patience here as I clean up I always take all my tools off my bushing machine. If I do anything, I'll put this center back on. But here it is. Anyway, I will be coming out with as soon as I can get the camera set up and whatever to do, one with a bushing wire, a brooch, and so you can get a better idea of, how I hold my hand. It's very similar to this. When I'm cutting the first ones, I'm cutting like this. After I get the hole around it with a bushing wire, I'm putting my finger against the brooch and keeping it out of that hole. And then I just continue up. When I get the round back, you know, centered right, then I can just go do a straight broach. I use my trusty little gauge here, and I will test the broaches all the way through, and it will make the pen. So if I'm doing a 3mm, I broach and mark the broach just short of that, just a peak short, so I know when to start stopping. And anyway, I hope you liked the video. Please comment, like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.